There are four charisms of the Sisters of Mercy that really influence everything we try to do at Misericordia: mercy, service, justice, and hospitality. And in particular, the charisms of hospitality, service, and justice really come to mind as far as what Misericordia could do internationally. Misericordia University, we've had an occupational therapy program for over 30 years, and it's an entry-level master's program. The American Occupational Therapy Association has a centennial vision, and one of the things they looked at was having people develop skills to be a global practitioner. So this fit perfectly with the charisms. So the opportunity to have students go to another country and use some of their skills that they're learning in occupational therapy to help people there was a great fit, and we loved having the opportunity to do it.
Occupational therapy is where we help anyone who might have an illness or a disability or an impairment of some sort to function to the best potential that they can function.
Occupational therapists tend to think differently than any other medical profession. We tend to look at the whole human being, not just the physical ailment or just the injury or just the condition that they were diagnosed with. We like to look at their emotions, their spirituality, their cognition, their environment, everything that plays into what is giving them trouble, and we want to get to the source of that and be able to make their whole life better because of that.
It really brings us back to the basic needs. What do kids really need to be able to be successful in life? And it's really, are they positioned correctly? Are they eating properly? Are they able to gain some of those independent skills that they need for just everyday life?
What we decided to do as far as international service learning is we worked with the people on the island of Jamaica. There's an organization called Mustard Seed, which has a group of homes for severely handicapped children, and that particular organization welcomed us to come and bring our class. And we prepared a whole semester for this. We studied Jamaican culture, healthcare, the needs of the children. I had the opportunity to go and do a needs assessment a few months before the class actually went. So by the time the 8 of us, plus 2 faculty chaperones, had an opportunity to go, I thought we had a pretty good feel for the kids and what we might do to help Mustard Seed help their children.
And especially in Jamaica, it is important because they don't have the resources that we do. They have very few OTs on the entire island of Jamaica. It's less than 20. So the majority of the people on the island don't get those services.
There are many things then that we could do to help those children in their development and help the people at Mustard Seed further what they would like to achieve with their children.
Through training the staff in some therapeutic techniques and working with the kids with positioning, some adaptations to the wheelchairs and things like that, I think we could really make a big difference in these kids' lives.
I think for us to be able to take the resources that we're lucky enough to have and the knowledge that we're lucky enough to have gained through school and bring it over here would be something that's really cool to do, and to share that with them could be so beneficial.
We're also gaining experience from this trip as well. As occupational therapy students, we're getting the chance to work with the kids and learn, feeding, positioning, some wheelchair management, things like that will really help us in our future careers as OTs.
It's a little difficult at times because many of the children haven't received an official diagnosis. But the ones that we do know of are cerebral palsy, autism, and Down syndrome. And then in addition, there's a lot of secondary diagnoses such as hydrocephaly and cortical visual impairment.
Well, the challenge is you really don't know where to fully start when you're evaluating a child, and it's hard to get a baseline assessment of their abilities. Safety is a concern when you don't have a diagnosis, and also the prognosis is you really don't know either, because if they don't have a diagnosis, you don't know how they can improve over time.
Working with limited resources, we really have to be adaptable, and that's definitely going to help us in our future careers.
My students did an excellent job actually creating things to bring with us, and also developing plans to help educate the staff and even do some training with the staff about how they might accomplish that. For example, one of our students, Maria Weidemuir, devised a It was a sensory board that could be placed at ground level and had different types of sensory experiences that when it's brought to the child, since the child can't easily get to those things on their own, would be able to interact in their environment. And that was very, very helpful because the children do spend some time laying on mats and getting some types of therapy and being stretched out, but then how can we further their engagement with their world? In general, the children are going to sleep. Of course, as part of the day and the evening, they're going to need some downtime. What kind of stimulatory items could be placed in those environments? So we actually brought things that could be attached to cribs that produced either noises or vibrations or maybe lit up a little bit. So that way the children could, when they're having a little bit of downtime in the late afternoon, interact with those objects and help further their development. We essentially had a home base called Sophie's Place. They have about 20 children in that home. We really appreciated how the staff welcomed us and let us work with the children. It was very clear that the staff at Mustard Seed very much wanted what's best for their children and to help move them along to the next step. And that included working with the staff on suggestions for positioning, range of motion, feeding, sensory and motor stimulation. We had a really good opportunity to get to know each of the kids because we were there for several days. Our second location was my father's house. That home is a little bit bigger. That was the original home created by the founder of Mustard Seed Communities. It's about 35 children there. The levels of disabilities varied greatly. So again, while we were there, we were able to help work with the staff on direct care with the children, but also in services. So our team, which was also Dr. Jennifer DeSoy, she, with 4 students, did a set of in-services at my father's house. They did work with feeding, positioning, sensory stimulation, something called cortical visual impairment. We had the opportunity to actually do those techniques with the children in what was called a sensory room there, which was a room that literally was about the size of a large closet that does not have windows, where you could adjust the environment and bring in the just right sensory stimulation. Another thing we brought was a sensory mat. Now, by the way, that was created by Amanda Chasm and Christy Cianfici with help from another one of our students, Emily Eiseminger, who did the sewing. So when the child's placed on the mat,
They can get that tactile stimulation. They can feel the different textures. There's a lot of different textures, a lot of different colors, so they can get that sensory input that they need.
and we've been told that it's been a very successful intervention, that their staff are regularly using that. I think from our students' perspective, it opened up an entire new world to them and thoughts about where they, as a professional, would be able to offer themselves and their expertise, as their career begins and progresses. So, we 100% plan on coming back next year. It will be a new group of students. We are going to be in contact with Mustard Seed on a regular basis. We'll be talking about what's the next step that they want to be able to take.
Since we're the first year that's ever done this, I think it's very groundbreaking. If we could form relationships with the kids that are at the places and the staff that's there, it could really set the tone for future years to come.
The trip does not begin when you get there and end when you leave. We hope to get other people interested in thinking about what it might mean to be a global citizen, whether you're a student, whether you're a professor, whether you're a therapist. How can you help with the skill set that you have? I think occupational therapists have an amazing skill set to share with the world.